You remember your first crush better than you remember most of that entire year. Not because they mattered more than everything else that happened, because your brain kept them on purpose. And the reason it did has almost nothing to do with the person. It's a reason that's still quietly shaping who you're drawn to now as an adult. So who were they, really? Probably not who the memory tells you. Stick with the question because the honest answer rearranges that whole dizzy, slightly embarrassing experience into something you didn't know it was, and shows you what it quietly left behind. The easy way to file a first crush is under nothing. Puppy love, just hormones. A cringe little episode you'd rather not revisit at the dinner table. Sweet, silly, meaningless, the emotional equivalent of a baby tooth. But that filing is a mistake, and it's worth undoing because it wasn't nothing. It was the first time an entire system inside you switched on. Until that moment, attraction was a word you understood the way you understand a country you've never visited. Then, one ordinary day, near one ordinary person, the whole apparatus fired for the first time. Desire, obsession, the racing pulse, the rehearsed conversations, the ache. Your brain wasn't playing around. It was running a brand new program at full volume, with no prior version to compare it against. And first runs of anything don't just happen to you. They set the settings. So why does the first one press in so much deeper than the 10th? Two things happened at once, and both are about timing. The first is novelty. Your brain treats a genuinely new experience the way your phone treats a new face it's asked to remember. It studies it hard because it has nothing to file it against. Every later crush gets quietly compared to a stored version. The first one had to be recorded from scratch, so it got recorded in high resolution. The second is the age it tends to land at. A first crush usually arrives in early adolescence, right when the systems that handle desire and identity are coming online and everything is turned up too loud. You didn't have the calluses yet. No practice at wanting someone, no experience of it passing, no evidence that you'd survive it, so the feeling hit with nothing to soften it. Put maximum novelty and maximum rawness in the same moment, and you don't get a memory. You get an imprint. And an imprint, unlike a memory, doesn't just sit there being remembered. It goes to work in the background. Here's the mechanism that makes an imprint stick, and it's one of the most reliable findings in memory science. A psychologist named James McGaw spent decades on a single question: why do we keep some moments and lose all the rest? His answer was emotional arousal. The more emotionally charged a moment is, the harder your brain works to preserve it. Arousal acts like a highlighter, dragged across the page of an experience, telling the filing system this one matters, keep all of it. It's why you can't recall a normal Tuesday from 10th grade, but can still replay the exact hallway, the exact shirt, the throwaway sentence they said. Now stack that on a first crush, which is about as emotionally charged as an adolescent gets. The highlighter isn't just on, it's soaked clean through the page, so the moment gets stored in almost unfair detail, and here's the part that outlives the memory itself. Many psychologists think that first richly encoded experience of attraction becomes a quiet reference point, a template, not a rule and not destiny. More like the first data point your attraction system ever logged, sitting underneath all the later ones, subtly tilting what reads to you as your type. You didn't choose that template. It got burned in before you knew choosing was on the table. Think of it like a footprint in wet concrete. There's a narrow window when the concrete is soft, poured, not yet set, and whatever presses into it during that window leaves a mark that lasts for years. Step in the same spot later, once it's hard, and you leave nothing at all. Your first crush stepped into wet concrete. That's the whole reason the print is so deep. Not because the foot was extraordinary, but because the timing was. And that's the humbling, slightly funny part. The shape that got recorded wasn't necessarily the person who mattered most. It was whoever happened to be standing near you while the concrete was still soft. A lab partner, a friend's older sibling, someone on a bus. The concrete doesn't care who's worthy of it. It just records who was there first, and then everything you build later sits on top of that one set shape. Now, a few honest caveats. Not everyone has one of these. Some people's first crush was a mild, forgettable flicker, and some don't really remember a first at all, and that's not a defect or a sign of anything missing. A deep imprint isn't a merit badge. It's mostly a matter of how soft the concrete happened to be that day. And the template is a tilt, not a cage. It nudges what catches your eye. It does not hand you a script or excuse a single choice you make as an adult. Plenty of people's actual partners look nothing like their first crush because a nudge is easy to override once you can see it. Some of you, though, can feel the pull of this right now. The way a certain look or a certain energy keeps reappearing across the people you've been drawn to, a pattern you never consciously picked. And for a few of you, the first crush memory isn't sweet at all. It's tangled up with rejection or embarrassment that still stings a little. If that's you, the reframe coming up is meant to take some of the weight off it, not to make you relive it. So here finally is who your first crush actually was. Not the love of your life you somehow lost, not proof of anything cosmic. They were the first thing your attraction system ever recorded. The calibration image captured at maximum sensitivity, at an age when you had no way to hold it lightly. The intensity you felt was real, but it was mostly the intensity of a system waking up for the very first time. Most of it was never really about them. It was about the waking. And that is the freeing part, not the sad one. If the person was mostly incidental, then you were never carrying a torch for one specific human you're doomed to measure everyone else against. You were carrying the shape of one very early impression, and a shape you can finally see as a shape that no longer runs you. The point was never to forget your first crush. It's to know that's what it was. A first print in soft concrete, not a map of where you're supposed to end up. Once you can see the template, you get to decide how much of it you still want to keep. So try this, and it takes about 2 minutes. Bring the person to mind, yes, that one, and instead of chasing the feeling, list the traits. What actually drew you? Not they were perfect. The specifics. The dry humor, the way they didn't seem to need anyone, the confidence, the quietness, the trouble they carried. Write down 3 or 4. Then look at the people you've been drawn to since and hold the list up against them. You're not doing this to feel wistful. You're making the invisible template visible for once because a pattern you can name on paper is a pattern you can finally choose to keep or set down instead of one that quietly keeps choosing for you. I'll leave you with the question I most want answered down there. Who was yours? And looking back now with adult eyes, what do you think your brain was actually recording that day? 1 or 2 lines is plenty. No full love story required. There's a specific delight in a comment section where a few hundred grown adults sheepishly admit the lab partner or the bus stranger who has apparently been shaping their taste for 20 years. And if you want more of these, the hidden machinery under the feelings we all assume are simple. Subscribe and stick around. There's a lot more of you running in the background than it looks like from the front.